Good morning everyone, Will again here, and today I'm here with Grandad, who's here.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk about the history of the farm, a bit more about the background of the farm. If you do enjoy it today, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more stuff like this, please subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell below. Cheers, thank you! Right, I'll ask you questions and then just talk so the camera's not there.
Okay.
So, to start off with the farm, how did it all start and where did it all begin?
Well, in 1969, I was engaged to Rachel, and we were making plans to go and live in a cottage on the farm at home where I was working with my parents and my brother. And this farm came on the market, and Rachel's dad asked me if I would like a start in farming. So it was to be sold in May, and we were due to get married in the August. And Grandad succeeded in, my father-in-law succeeded in buying the farm, and it was 125 acres or thereabouts. And he had slightly the smaller half and I had the bigger half. And the aim was to milk cows from day one. So we harvested the grass, what grass there was. Most of the farm was in cereals when we bought it, so we had a lot of reseeding to do in the autumn. And we started milking in October '69.
Yeah.
So that was the start.
Yeah. So predominantly were you milking Holsteins or Friesians or what?
Well, the Holsteins were relatively new in the 60s. Most of them were traditional British Friesians.
Okay.
We stick to that breed. There was some folks who started to use Holstein bulls, but and I stuck with the Friesians, and that started the bull calves. Started another enterprise on the farm in the early 70s, which we did a bull beef
so that
enterprise.
Was the top shed, in the top shed, or is that just that we use for the lambing now, or?
No. That was all those were Grandad's buildings.
Oh, okay.
So no, I got all the traditional buildings up here. We put a pole barn up.
Yeah. To
finish the bull. We used to rear the heifers and bulls together, and then we split the bulls off at about 12 weeks old, and then we put them on an intensive cereal ration.
So like barley beef?
Yeah, barley beef basically, and then we built the herd up to about 80 cows within 2 or 3 years. And by the time we got into the late 70s, early 80s, we were up to 100. And we sort of around that number for a lot of the time.
So you basically milked all the way up to about 25 years ago. So when
94 was the dairy cows went.
Yeah. So Dad was still quite young. Carl was Dad's.
Yeah. Well, your dad was born in 1970.
Yeah.
So in 94 he was 20.
Yeah, so 2 years before I was born.
Yeah.
So it's never been dairy cows, so I've been alive.
No.
And why was the reason you got rid of the cows, for anyone that wasn't aware of what was happening at the time?
Well, at the time your dad had started a retail horse feed business.
Yeah.
And your dad had got his, as far as I can see, got his living cut out.
Yeah.
And it meant that I got to employ somebody to milk the cows, which at the time it was about 25,000 a year to employ a herdsman, which I couldn't really justify. And the other thing about the whole industry, it was at the time when April 94 was at the time when the Milk Marketing Board was abolished, and all the dairies went into free buy the milk off the dairy farms. So there was a lot of money flying about for milk. There was a lot of demand for dairy cows. I mean, a good effort then in '94 was over £2,000.
And that's like more than now.
Well, about the same sort of level as they are right now. and you've got 100 cows walking past you every day in the park, and you're
Mm.
thinking to yourself, well, they've got to be worth 1,200 quid a piece. There's
Yeah.
a lot of money tied up in this.
Yeah.
And there's other ways of getting a living on the
Yeah.
farm. At the time, milk quota was very valuable
Yeah.
because we were still under a quota regime.
Mm.
And so from 94 to 98, 99, I was leasing milk quota for £30,000 a year,
Yeah.
which is more money than I'd ever had out of
Yeah.
milk cows. So, yeah, we had a few really good years out of the cows without them,
Yeah.
which left us to do what we wanted with the farm.
Yeah.
And during the 80s, early 80s, I started to grow a few potatoes. That got up to about 35 acres.
Mm.
But again, there was a really good year in 94, 95. Potatoes went through the roof, and so when the equipment was getting old and wanted replacing, and I was a one-man band, it's a job I could do without.
Yeah.
So I sold all my potato equipment and went out of
Yeah,
potatoes
yeah.
on a similar sort of regime really,
Yeah.
when it was really good.
Yeah.
So that was the mid-90s, and yeah, I've never had any regrets about
No.
going out to livestock,
No.
but it is nice to have livestock back on the farm.
Yeah, it's different. Even though it's sheep, it's
Yeah.
well, there was no livestock properly. Well, we've had a few chickens, but nothing major
No,
until the last 5 years.
only ones.
Oh, and the horses.
horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we haven't got a livestock enterprise as such.
No. So between like the late 90s and early 2000s, where did the farm progress? This was like when I was quite young. Obviously, that's when we moved into grassland a bit, and Dad was still doing the equine feed business.
Yeah, well, we moved into. We started making haylage when we still got the dairy cows.
Yeah.
And we
I
were
never knew that actually.
Yeah, we started in the late 80s, 88, 89, so we're there. And we were making haylage out of aftermath because the cows came first, they had all the best grass. But learning curve, the grass that we were using then is not the right type of grass for horse haylage.
Yeah.
So, and then when we moved on to just haylage, we altered our regime and went in for Italian ryegrass.
Yeah.
And your dad was selling the haylage, I was making it. And we went on like that for a number of years until, I suppose, I can't remember when we really went up another stage with the haylage. Because 2008, 9, somewhere there, we decided to go up market again and reseed more often, so we got lots better quality grass. In fact, we treat our Italian ryegrass like an arable crop.
Oh yes, there's no weed, it's all sprayed.
It's tram-lined, it's sprayed,
Yeah.
it only stops down 2 years. So if it's a really good one, we'll leave it to third year. And also we cut a little bit earlier now than we used to do.
So that's what start of June, just maybe a week or two after that.
Well, we used to always start about 20th of June.
Yeah.
And now we start the first week of June if the weather's good.
Always after the county show.
Well, yeah, yeah. And then that enables you to cut again in 6 weeks, and then mostly make hay of that cut.
Yeah.
But we do make some haylage, and then the third cut goes into livestock type haylage, which is usually done in September. So we've used a little bit more fertiliser than we used to do, but we are getting three crops.
So when did Rue's Feed start? Was that late 2000s?
No, it was early 2000s.
2004.
About 2002 or 3, I think.
Okay.
That's early, yeah.
So then the major aim went off all the feeds and more onto the haylage side and all.
Yeah, your dad then specialised in in selling the hayley
Yeah.
and the hay, and doing basically what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Smaller scale, but he's
Yeah.
gradually
Yeah.
built it up.
Well, over the last 4, 5, 6 years, it's suddenly
Yeah, it's gone up,
grown.
we'll go up
Yeah.
another step.
We're supplying a lot of. Most of it goes to horse yards and race horse yards and stuff like that. That's probably for the people that don't know.
Yeah, racing yards, shows up in yards.
Yeah.
People with dressage horses, competing horses, our top ladies goes to. And then we've got something for every sort of horse. So, you know, right from a racehorse down through to hacking ponies on livery yards. We've got something for all of them.
Yeah, and also that third cut, we've started then sending that away to, there's a place at Buxton that's having a lot at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, we've got a farmer up in Buxton who, our third crop, usually our aftermath, hay, grass, which is all leafy and soft grass. They feed a lot of cattle, a lot of it goes up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a home for nearly everything that we grow. It's you know, it's something that we've grown and we give a good service, and customers keep coming back. Mostly.
Yeah. It's ever since, so I've been involved a lot more since college really. Since then, it's just skyrocketed compared to when we were little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how many acres we're doing now? We were doing sort of 150, 200 acres, first and second crops. Now we're doing the sheep and the extra land, we're farming about 500 acres now.
Yeah.
And most of that at some stage is mown.
Yeah.
Not quite all of it, because some of it we can't mow.
Yeah, there's stuff like the buns and that, the hill area behind
the
house.
That's right.
Stuff,
We've got probably 40, 50 acres that we can't mow.
Yeah.
Which the sheep are on whilst we're making hay, and then some of the sheep ground that we've got where they've been all summer, we take them off and then take a cut in September. Again, another silage cycle. Just to put the mower over it and keep the sward right.
And also the sheep are benefiting all the lays that they go out because they're grazing it down and increasing the sward density for the next following year, which
they're a very useful grassland management tool. And it has improved our long-term swards. We don't use them much on the Italians.
No.
But the long-term swards, definitely, they're producing a lot of grass. But the grass that we mow off there is mostly hay for the livery yards. Either conventional bales or square bales, round bales. We do every sort of bale there is. So yeah, it all knits together very well with the sheep.
So it was quite a shock to Grandad really, because when me and George were younger, you probably didn't think we'd ever end up on the farm. Well, maybe when we were quite young, but when we were probably young teens, we didn't show a lot of interest until...
Well, no, mostly teenagers, if they're interested in farming, most of them, all they want to do is climb on a tractor and drive it. And neither you nor George ever showed any real interest. In fact, George frightened himself to death once on tractor or load.
And he went through the hedge.
And he never went near one for a long time. But it's probably, for my life, it's been the most pleasing aspect that you and George and even Ellie, she likes working with you with the sheep. And to work a farm now with 3 generations, I mean, I don't do any day-to-day organising now, it's all left to your dad. And, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do when I get up in the morning until I spoke to your dad. But it's nice to have a family farm, and you're busy harvesting, and you've got 2 grandsons one on a tractor each. There's Neil, perhaps on a loader tractor or on the mower, and then I usually do the tedding or the raking. It's lovely to have a family unit that's all pulling in the same direction. and that's sort of
Yeah.
been very pleasing for me.
Yeah.
There's so many farmers and friends of mine that have got family that aren't interested in the
No.
farm. And as you said, at one stage, you know, when you were sort of in your teens, I never dreamt that either of you come on the farm, and now both of you are interested. Fortunately, one's a livestock man and the other's a machinery man,
Yeah.
so that's working well.
Yeah. It was weird because I was I was at sixth form, like halfway through the year, I was like going to do the accounting stuff, and I was just like, this isn't for me. And I came back for half the summer and really enjoyed it, and all of a sudden I went and looked around a couple of the ag colleges, which was to yours and Dad's, shocking. You're like,
Yeah.
what's he doing? And then you came with me to the interview at Bishop Burton.
Yeah.
And then I fell in love with it, everyone loved it up there. And then ended up doing that, and then that's where I like the sheep, so I went and did a lambing at Mark's. So
At Mark Woolman,
yes, that's Uncle Stuart's cousin.
Yeah.
And and then I think second year of college I bought those 5 years, which no one was happy about, and they just showed up in there.
That's right.
And then since then I've grown really, and especially the last year, it's 18 months there.
Yeah, I mean, once we took that 100-acre block of land on, we needed a lot more sheep, so we went and bought 50-year lambs off
Charles Grandad,
Yeah. And that was sort of the biggest jump we've had.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we're still expanding. You know, we're trying now, aiming at a close flock, which I think is the way forward.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to.
And try and get to strike the sort of disease problems that we've had with having a ball flock.
Yeah. It's getting there. Like
it's getting there.
The first couple of years there was a few problems, but now I think they're getting used to the land, and they've all been closed for over. We haven't bought anything now for 12 months, and it's starting to go right. And we've learned. I'm still learning. I did a placement over at Leicestershire. I learnt a lot there, and it's kind of putting it into practice here, but still learning. Like I think this year we had the best lambing we've had.
It's good to lamb, yes, we did. Yeah.
So we had Ollie, Lauren, Ellie, everyone helped with it, and we've had the best lamb by far this year. It's just we've learned about breeding, and
you lifted your standard of your tups, didn't you, by buying those old senior tups?
Yeah, so
that are proven really that you know the sort of stock they were throwing.
Yeah, especially that Goliath with Daniels. That's a hell of a tup.
That's a hell of a good tup, he is, yeah. He's done a good job. And of course that one that you bought off
Wyn Davis.
Wyn Davis.
Since we bought him, these lambs are well, until we had Goliath, they were ahead of that.
He left his mark.
Yeah, they all do. They're credit to the flock.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so where do you see the farm going in the near future? After talking about the past, where would you like to see the farm?
Well, really, it's what your dad wants to do.
But it's best to talk to Dad.
He's still got the ambition of trying to grow the farm.
Yeah.
Which I've no problem with, so as long as everything that we produce we sell.
In the quality stage.
In the quality stage. The bigger you are, the better you can afford to run better machinery.
Yeah, we've seen that the 6.9 we bought over the last 8 months, and
we kept buying it. We bought another tractor, and then we bought another. We run 2 tedders now. We've got 2 rakes.
Yeah.
We've got twin mowers on the tractor. We've just upped everything, which means instead of doing 50-acre blocks, we
can do
look at a 100-acre block for making hay.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years ago we couldn't do
No,
it.
what a transfer. It helped having Tepper too, because it's that extra driver.
Yeah, we've got an extra tractor and an extra man, and we just really got on with it this summer. It's gone back. In fact, it's probably one of the best harvests I've had in the whole of my farming career.
We've had years where stuff's ended up in the field, but this year everything's been in on the same day pretty much.
There's hardly anything had any rain on it. And the quality of the fodder that we've got is, we've got some of the best hay I have ever made in all my 50 years of farming. And it's strange really, when I was milking dairy cows, I actually used to dread haymaking, I hated it. But now we're sort of making, I don't know how many acres, 300 acres of hay, 400 acres of hay every year. Think nothing of it.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of things in life, once you've got established and you know what you're doing, everything's a lot easier because all your kit's designed to do the job. One of our tedders is a hay tedder. Especially for and it doesn't, it spreads it so well, it leaves it
like a carpet.
Like a carpet, and it moves every little bit of grass. But so you move with technology. So not that I'm brilliant at technology, but things just move on.
No, just thank you for doing this today with me. It's a bit different, and I hope everyone's enjoyed just a bit about the history of the farm. If you did like it today, guys, please hit the like button. If you want to see more stuff like this, please subscribe. And there's videos every Wednesday and Saturday every week. Grandad's been watching them.
I don't miss them, no. Something to look forward to.
So it's been a bit of a new thing, but
gives me a chance to see things that I wouldn't see because I'm not there all the time, obviously, and you know, you can pick it up on the video. It's there for good. It's I've told a lot of my friends and they're watching it too. So it's another interesting angle.
Cool. Right, okay. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers!